Season 3 of the Gilded Age may have ended, but its aftershocks are only just beginning. For Bertha Russell, this was a season of triumph and devastation wrapped together in a single glittering package. On the surface, she achieved what she always wanted. Her daughter, Gladys' future secured, her own place in New York's elite circle solidified, and her influence over society more unshakable than ever. Yet beneath that sparkling success lies a crumbling marriage, a husband who feels betrayed, and a society waiting for her to make one wrong move. That is exactly why Season 4 will be the most dangerous chapter of Bertha's story yet. George Russell, once Bertha's strongest ally, has turned into her biggest weakness. After watching his wife marry off their daughter for power and ambition, George made it brutally clear that his love for her may be gone. His bitterness is real, and his anger is not going away. Season 4 will push this fracture to its breaking point as Bertha fights desperately to win him back, while George considers the possibility of moving on entirely, perhaps even into the arms of another woman. The rumors alone are enough to shake Bertha's world, but if they prove true, it would not only shatter her marriage, but also strip away the foundation of her social power. For Bertha, George has always been her rock, her partner in the game of wealth and status. Without him, she is vulnerable. And in New York high society, vulnerability is blood in water. But George is not only battling his marriage, his near-death encounter in Season 3 has left him restless, angry, and determined. An assassination attempt shook him to his core. And now, Season 4 will follow George as he hunts for answers, who pulled the trigger and why. The mystery of his attacker will not fade quietly into the background. It will become his obsession, even if it puts him in even greater danger. What makes this storyline so thrilling is that George is a man who thrives in business wars, but is unprepared for personal betrayal. If the enemy comes from within his social circle, or worse, his business allies, the fallout could tear apart not only his fortune, but also his entire family standing in New York. While Bertha and George's marriage teeters on collapse, another storyline shines a rare light of hope: the romance between Marion and Larry Russell. After seasons of hesitation, heartbreak, and near misses, their reconciliation feels like a turning point for the entire Russell family. Their love is more than just a romance. It's a chance for stability, for unity, and perhaps even redemption. Season 4 will build toward their wedding, and this is not just any wedding. It will be the event of the season, the kind of lavish spectacle that only Bertha could orchestrate, and it carries more weight than a simple celebration. For Bertha, this wedding is her chance to repair fractured bonds, to present her family as untouchable, and to remind society that the Russells remain powerful, unbreakable, and united. Yet, the path to the altar will not be smooth. In fact, every step closer to the wedding may reveal new dangers, new rivals, and new heartbreaks that threaten to undo everything. And then there's the wild card: Oscar and his ill-advised alliance with Mrs. Winterton. If George's marriage crisis and assassination plot weren't enough drama, this shocking partnership has the potential to drag the entire Russell name through the mud. Oscar's decisions have always been risky, but teaming up with a woman who has clawed her way into society through manipulation and betrayal could be catastrophic. Mrs. Winterton is not only ambitious, but also dangerous. She has always had her eyes set on Bertha's throne in society, and now Oscar may have given her the perfect weapon to strike. If Season 4 pushes her into George's orbit as a potential rival to Bertha, the drama will explode in ways no one saw coming. Season May 3rd have ended with Bertha declaring the future belongs to America, but Season 4 will challenge what that future really looks like for the Russells, for their marriage, for their rivals, and for the very idea of power in New York. And at the heart of it all lies one question. Can love and loyalty survive in a world built on ambition and betrayal? If there is one thing we know about George Russell, it is that he is not a man who lets go of a grudge. Season 3 left him scarred not just physically, but emotionally. He was shot in cold blood, saved only by the quick action of Dr. Kirkland and Marion's shocking bravery. But survival is not enough for George. He cannot rest until he finds out who wanted him dead. And that obsession will dominate his arc in Season 4, dragging him into a world of secrets, betrayals, and dangers even more deadly than the assassination attempt itself. What makes this storyline so electrifying is that George's enemies are everywhere. His business rivals, his political adversaries, even bitter figures from within his own family's extended circle. Any one of them could have ordered the shot. The shooter's identity was deliberately left as a mystery in Season 3, and that wasn't by accident. Writers want us guessing, and Season 4 will feed into that suspense. Imagine George, a man used to controlling the market, suddenly powerless against an invisible enemy. He thrives when the battlefield is railroads and steel. But this is something different. This is personal, and personal wars always cut deeper. The more George digs, the more he will put himself at risk. That is the tragedy of his determination. His family, already shaken by his coldness toward Bertha, will now watch him throw himself into a dangerous investigation that could end with another attempt on his life. What's worse, George is not the kind of man to ask for help. He will keep his cards close, trusting very few, and that secrecy could isolate him even further. For Bertha, this will be unbearable. She will see her husband pulling away from her emotionally while chasing shadows. And though she will try to use the wedding as a way to heal them, George may be too far gone into his obsession to even notice. And then there's the possibility that the enemy is closer than George thinks. What if the person who wanted him dead isn't a faceless rival, but someone already sitting at his table? Imagine the fallout if an ally, a partner, or even Oscar with his reckless schemes is somehow entangled in this crime. Suspense here is not just about who pulled the trigger, but about how deeply corruption and betrayal have already seeped into the Russell empire. Season 4 will take us deeper into the underbelly of New York society, showing us that for every ballroom lit with chandeliers, there is a shadowed alley where revenge is planned. Dr. Kirkland will likely play a major role again, not just as George's savior, but as a man who understands the cost of secrets. His romance with Peggy brought hope and beauty into the finale, but his connection to George's near-death moment ties him into the darker plot as well. If George insists on pushing forward with reckless determination, Kirkland may be the one voice of reason. Though, whether George listens is another matter entirely. And Peggy, who has already proven her courage, may find herself caught once again between loyalty to her friends and the dangers surrounding them. What makes George's hunt so fascinating is that it runs parallel to Bertha's struggles. As she fights to protect her marriage and her place in society, George fights his unseen enemy. And the two storylines may collide in devastating ways if George discovers that the person who tried to kill him is also connected to the social rivalries that Bertha is dealing with. Russells could find themselves under siege from all sides. And if George's obsession blinds him to Bertha's attempts to reconcile, the cracks in their marriage may split wide open at the very moment when they most need to stand united. Season 4 will not give us easy answers. If anything, it will deepen the mystery, tease us with half-revealed truths, and keep us second-guessing everyone's motives. Who benefits if George Russell is dead? Who profits if his empire collapses? These are the questions George will chase even as his family begs him to let it go.